Have you ever felt a shiver run down your spine as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the world in long, strange shadows? On the vast, windswept steppes of Central Asia, ancient nomadic songs tell of a time when that shiver was a warning, a sign that the shadow shepherd was near. This isn't a story you'll find in any history book. It's a legend whispered around crackling fires, a chilling tale woven into the very fabric of the grasslands. Imagine this. You're a herder, guiding your flock back to the camp as twilight descends. The sky is a canvas of orange and purple. You see a figure in the distance, silhouetted against the dying light. It looks like a shepherd, but something is wrong. They're not herding sheep or goats. They're herding the shadows themselves. With a long, dark staff, this being guides the elongated forms of rocks, hills, and even your own livestock, gathering them into a silent, flowing river of darkness. The old songs say that the next morning the livestock would be unharmed. Every sheep, every horse would be accounted for, but something vital would be missing. Their shadows. The animals would stand under the bright morning sun, yet cast no silhouette upon the ground. It was as if a part of their very essence had been stolen away. This was the first sign that the shadow shepherd had passed through. But the shepherd didn't just take the shadows of animals, it was drawn to the shadows of people too. The stories describe a creeping dread that would settle over a camp. A person would wake up one morning, feeling different, lighter, less substantial. They'd look down and see nothing but the dusty ground where their shadow should be. They had been grazed by the shadow shepherd. At first the loss seemed trivial. What use is a shadow, anyway? But then a strange sickness would take hold. The person without a shadow would begin to lose their depth, not just physically, but in their personality. Their laughter would become faint, their stories less vibrant, their presence less felt. It was as if they were slowly fading from the world, becoming a two-dimensional echo of their former self. Their friends and family would look at them, and it was like looking through a thin veil. The elders knew what was happening. They had seen it before, generations ago. The person was becoming untethered from reality. The shadow, they believed, was an anchor. It was the physical proof of your place in the world, the dark twin that connected your soul to the earth. Without it, you were simply adrift. The decline was slow but inevitable. As the days went on, the shadowless person would grow more transparent. Their voice would become a whisper on the wind. They would still eat and drink, but seem to draw no sustenance. Their eyes, once full of life, would become like faded photographs. The most terrifying part was the sunset. Each evening, as the sun disappeared, they would flicker, their form becoming almost invisible for a moment before reappearing a little fainter than before. The final stage was as poetic as it was horrifying. One evening, as the last sliver of sun vanished, the shadowless person would simply disappear. They wouldn't die in the traditional sense. There was no body left behind. They just faded away with the last of the light, absorbed into the final, all-encompassing shadow of the night. It was as if they had been fully harvested by the entity that first stole their anchor. They were gone, leaving behind only a fading memory and a profound emptiness in the hearts of those who loved them. The nomads, a people who lived by the cycles of the sun and the seasons, learned to fight back. They couldn't battle the shadow shepherd with spears or arrows. It was a creature of dusk and twilight beyond the reach of physical weapons. So they fought it with the one thing that could defy the darkness, light. This led to one of the most sacred and vital traditions on the steppe, the all-night fire. It wasn't just for warmth or for cooking. As dusk approached, every family in the camp would contribute wood to a massive, central bonfire. This fire had to be large enough and bright enough to burn until the first rays of dawn. It was a beacon of life in the vast, dark emptiness of the plains. The purpose of the fire was to anchor the shadows. In the flickering, dancing light of the flames, everyone's shadow would stay close, tethered to their feet. The light from the fire pinned the shadows to the ground, preventing them from wandering, from stretching out too far where the shepherd could reach them. Children were told not to stray too far from the fire's glow. To step out into the pure, moonless dark was to offer your shadow up as a temptation. All through the long, cold night, someone was always on watch. Not for wolves or rival tribes, but to tend the fire. To let the fire die down was to invite disaster. It was to leave the entire camp vulnerable, to risk waking up and finding your loved ones, or even yourself, a little less real. The fire was their shield, their guardian against the formless terror that roamed the twilight. The legend of the Shadow Shepherd is more than just a ghost story. It's a profound meditation on existence, on what it means to be present and real. It speaks to a deep-seated human fear of fading away, of becoming unnoticed, of losing our impact on the world. The shadow, in this context, becomes a symbol of our identity, our substance, our connection to the physical plane. Think about it. In our modern world, we talk about living in someone's shadow or being a shadow of our former self. These aren't just empty phrases. They tap into that same primal understanding that our shadow is part of us. The nomads of the steppe took this idea to its literal and terrifying conclusion. What was the shadow shepherd? Was it a god? A demon? A natural force personified? The songs don't say. It's simply a feature of the world, like the wind or the rain, but one that preys on the very essence of being. It's a reminder that the world is filled with mysteries that defy easy explanation, especially in those liminal spaces between day and night, light and dark. So the next time you're out as the sun sets and you see your shadow stretching long and thin behind you, maybe you'll think of this story. Maybe you'll feel a little protective of that dark shape that follows you everywhere. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hurry back to the warmth and light of home, keeping your shadow close, anchored, and safe from the shepherd who walks the steppes at dusk. Thanks for journeying with us into this forgotten corner of folklore. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the world's most fascinating and chilling legends. Until next time, stay curious.